Deep within the arid, unforgiving landscape of central Iran south of the capital Tehran lies a facility that occupies the minds of intelligence chiefs in Jerusalem, Washington, and beyond. This is the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. It's not just another industrial site, it's a symbol of Iran's nuclear ambitions and its defiance against international pressure. Built beneath a mountain near the holy city of Qom, its existence was a secret revealed to the world not by Iran but by Western intelligence agencies in 2009. That revelation sent a shockwave through diplomatic circles, confirming fears that Iran was pursuing a parallel clandestine nuclear program hidden from the eyes of international inspectors. The facility was designed for one primary purpose: the enrichment of uranium. Now, uranium enrichment is a delicate and dual-use process. At low levels, enriched uranium can be used to power a civilian nuclear reactor, generating electricity for cities and towns. That's the peaceful application that Iran has long claimed is its sole intention. However, if the same uranium is enriched to much higher purities, typically around 90%, it becomes the fissile core of a nuclear weapon. Fordow was designed with startling efficiency, its centrifuges capable of taking uranium already enriched at other sites, like Natanz, and pushing it to higher levels. Its very construction, deep underground and heavily fortified, suggested a purpose that went far beyond generating power. It suggested a facility built to survive a military attack and provide a nation with its ultimate weapon. The location itself was a strategic choice, a masterclass in defensive engineering and concealment. By carving the facility directly into the rock of a mountain, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps engineers who oversaw its construction created a natural shield. This was not a simple bunker buried a few meters underground. It was a sprawling complex nestled within hundreds of feet of solid rock and earth, making it impervious to conventional aerial bombardment. The site is surrounded by layers of security including IRGC bases, anti-aircraft missile batteries, and extensive surveillance systems. Every road leading to it is monitored, and the airspace above it is one of the most heavily defended in all of Iran, a clear message to any potential adversary. For Israel, the existence of Fordow represents a clear and present danger. Israeli military doctrine has long held that a nuclear-armed Iran is an existential threat that cannot be tolerated. The prospect of an adversary, sworn to Israel's destruction, possessing the atom bomb, is a red line that has been articulated by one prime minister after another. Fordow, with its hardened structure and its ability to produce weapons-grade material, is the physical embodiment of this nightmare scenario. It is a strategic challenge of the highest order, a fortress that must be watched, monitored, and, if diplomatic and covert means fail, potentially neutralized before it can fulfill its intended purpose. The question of how remains one of the most complex military puzzles of the 21st century. The primary challenge in any military plan targeting Fordow is its formidable physical protection. The facility is buried approximately 80 to 90 meters, so around 260 to 300 feet, beneath a mountain. This depth places it beyond the reach of most conventional bombs in the world's arsenals. Standard munitions that can destroy surface buildings or shallow bunkers would merely scratch the surface of the mountain, detonating harmlessly far above the critical centrifuge halls below. The Iranians chose this location precisely for this reason. They studied the effects of aerial campaigns in Iraq and Serbia, learning that deep underground facilities offered the best chance of survival against a technologically superior air force. Fordow was built to withstand a sustained bombing campaign and continue its operations. Adding to the difficulty is the layered air defense system that protects the site. The IRGC has not been naive about the threats. They have ringed Fordow and other sensitive nuclear sites with some of the most advanced surface-to-air missile systems they possess, including the Russian-made S-300 and domestically produced equivalents like the Bavar 373. These systems are designed to detect and shoot down enemy aircraft, cruise missiles, and drones from long distances and at various altitudes. Any attacking force would first have to fight its way through this dense web of radars and missile launchers. A perilous mission that would almost certainly result in the loss of aircraft and pilots. This is not a simple fly-in, drop bombs and fly-out operation. The physical structure of the facility itself presents another obstacle. Even if a weapon could penetrate the mountain, the internal layout is likely compartmentalized. That means a single successful strike might only destroy one section, leaving other parts of the plant intact and potentially operational. To ensure complete destruction, multiple, highly precise strikes would be necessary, with each weapon hitting a specific point to create a cascading failure throughout the underground complex. This requires flawless intelligence about the exact layout of the facility, the location of the centrifuge halls, control rooms, and power sources, which is incredibly difficult to obtain for a site so heavily guarded and shrouded in secrecy. Finally, there is the sheer distance and logistical complexity for a potential attacker like Israel. An air raid from Israel to Fordow would require flying over several hundred miles of hostile or neutral airspace, likely across countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, or Iraq. Such a mission would necessitate a large and complex package of aircraft, including strike fighters, electronic warfare planes to jam enemy radar, and aerial refueling tankers to get the jets there and back. The flight path is fraught with risk, both political and military. Gaining tacit permission to use another country's airspace is a diplomatic minefield, while flying unannounced risks triggering an international incident, or being engaged by another nation's air defenses long before reaching the Iranian border. Given the immense difficulty of a conventional airstrike, Israel and its allies would consider a range of options, many of them drawn from the playbook of the shadow war that has been waged against Iran's nuclear program for years. The most direct military option would involve the use of specialized munitions known as bunker busters. The United States has developed the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a 30,000-pound bomb designed specifically to destroy deeply buried targets like Fordow. While Israel does not officially possess the MOP, it has its own advanced bunker-busting technology, and a mission might involve using multiple bombs on the exact same spot to progressively drill down through the rock until the facility is reached. This is a high-risk, high-reward strategy that depends on precision and overwhelming force. Another powerful tool is sabotage, a hallmark of Israeli intelligence operations. This could involve several approaches. One method is to compromise the supply chain. Every complex facility, including Fordow, relies on a constant stream of specialized parts, raw materials, and equipment from around the world. Mossad and other agencies work tirelessly to identify and intercept these shipments. They might also go a step further by covertly damaging equipment before it is even delivered. A slightly altered valve, a faulty electrical controller, or contaminated raw materials could be introduced into the facility, designed to cause catastrophic failures within the centrifuge cascades once they are installed and running. This method is quiet, deniable, and can set a program back for months or even years. Cyber attacks represent a third and increasingly critical front. The Stuxnet worm, widely attributed to a joint American-Israeli effort, famously demonstrated the power of digital warfare when it physically destroyed centrifuges at Iran's Natanz facility over a decade ago. A similar but far more advanced cyber weapon could be developed to target Fordow. This weapon would be designed to infiltrate the facility's isolated and air-gapped computer networks, perhaps via a compromised piece of equipment or a human agent. Once inside, it could manipulate the industrial control systems that manage the centrifuges, causing them to spin out of control and tear themselves apart, all while feeding false, all-normal data back to the plant's operators. Finally, there is the option of a direct action mission by special forces. This is by far the riskiest and most cinematic scenario, but it remains within the realm of possibility for elite units like Sayeret Matkal. Such a mission would likely involve a small team being covertly inserted into Iran, possibly by helicopter or by crossing a land border. Their objective would not be to destroy the entire facility, but to achieve a specific, high-impact goal. This could mean planting demolition charges on critical infrastructure, such as the main power conduits or cooling systems, or even assassinating key scientists or engineers to disrupt the program's human capital. The challenges of infiltration, execution, and most critically, exfiltration from deep inside enemy territory are monumental, making this an option of last resort. History provides a stark and, really informative backdrop for any discussion of striking a nuclear facility. Israel's operational history is defined by this willingness to take audacious military action to prevent its enemies from acquiring game-changing weapons. The template was set, honestly, way back in 1981, with Operation Opera. Israeli F-16s flew a daring, long-range mission to destroy the Osirak nuclear reactor in Iraq, which intelligence indicated was on the verge of being able to produce plutonium for Saddam Hussein's regime. The strike was a stunning success, executed with complete surprise and precision. It established what became known as the Begin Doctrine, an informal policy that Israel would not allow a hostile regional power to obtain nuclear weapons, and would act preemptively and unilaterally if necessary to stop it. This doctrine was invoked again in 2007. Mossad intelligence uncovered a secret nuclear reactor being built by Bashar al-Assad's regime in the Deir ez-Zor region of eastern Syria, with assistance from North Korea. The facility, known as the Al-Kibar site, was designed to produce plutonium. After some internal debate and a quiet presentation of evidence to the Bush administration, Israel decided to act alone once more. In Operation Orchard, Israeli fighter jets infiltrated Syrian airspace, evading its air defense network through electronic warfare and tactical surprise, and completely destroyed the reactor. The operation was so covert that Israel did not publicly acknowledge its role for more than a decade, maintaining a policy of ambiguity to avoid provoking a wider conflict. The campaign against Iran's program has been different, favoring covert means over overt military strikes. The past 2 decades have seen a relentless war between the wars, a gray zone conflict fought with sabotage, cyber attacks, and targeted assassinations. Scientists and engineers central to the nuclear and missile programs have been killed in sophisticated operations on the streets of Tehran, often attributed to Mossad. Mysterious explosions have rocked sensitive sites, including the Natanz enrichment facility, on multiple occasions. These incidents, combined with the Stuxnet cyber attack, show a clear preference for actions that are deniable, disrupt the program, and sow paranoia within the Iranian establishment, all while avoiding the trigger for an all-out war. These past operations, however, also highlight the unique challenge posed by Fordow. Both Osirak and Al-Kibar were single, above-ground reactors. They were vulnerable to a conventional bombing raid. Fordow is a different beast entirely, deeply buried, heavily defended, and part of a dispersed and resilient national program. The previous Israeli strikes were surgical operations against a single point of failure. A strike on Fordow would be a brute force assault against a hardened fortress. The lessons of Osirak and Orchard provide the strategic justification and the operational boldness, but the tactics used in the shadow war against Iran itself, sabotage and cyber warfare, may offer a more practical, albeit less decisive, path forward in dealing with this specific hardened target. Any direct military strike on a facility as sensitive as Fordow, no matter how successful in its immediate objective, would carry enormous risks, and almost certainly trigger a severe regional backlash. Iran's leadership would be under immense domestic pressure to retaliate forcefully. This retaliation would not be limited or symbolic. It could take many forms, starting with direct missile attacks against Israeli cities and strategic infrastructure. Iran possesses a large arsenal of ballistic missiles capable of reaching Israel. Furthermore, Iran could activate its network of proxy forces across the Middle East. Hezbollah, in Lebanon, has an estimated arsenal of over 150,000 rockets and missiles pointed at Israel, and could be ordered to unleash a devastating barrage, opening up a new and bloody front to the north. The consequences would extend far beyond Israel's borders, threatening to engulf the entire region in a wider conflict. Iranian proxies in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen could launch attacks on United States forces and allied bases stationed in the region, potentially drawing the United States into the war. Furthermore, Iran holds a powerful economic weapon, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is the choke point through which nearly a fifth of the world's daily oil consumption passes. Iran could attempt to mine the strait, or use its naval forces and anti-ship missiles to disrupt or halt the flow of oil tankers, causing global energy prices to skyrocket and plunging the world economy into a severe crisis. The international reaction would be swift and honestly largely negative. Even countries that are wary of Iran's nuclear ambitions would likely condemn a unilateral Israeli strike as a violation of international law and a reckless act of aggression. Such a move could shatter the delicate diplomatic efforts aimed at constraining Iran's program, leaving Tehran with little incentive to remain in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. A military attack could, paradoxically, be the very thing that convinces Iran's leadership to abandon all restraint and make a final dash to build a nuclear bomb, believing it is the only ultimate guarantee of the regime's survival. The attack would be seen as proof that diplomacy is futile. This is why the situation surrounding Fordow is of such critical global importance. The facility is more than just a collection of centrifuges under a mountain. It is a flashpoint for a potential war with catastrophic consequences. The decisions made in Jerusalem, Tehran, and Washington in the coming months and years will have repercussions for international security, the global economy, and the future of nuclear non-proliferation. For observers, understanding the military options, the defensive challenges, and the immense risks involved is essential. Following what happens next is not merely an exercise in geopolitical curiosity, it is about watching a slow-burning fuse that leads directly to one of the most dangerous powder kegs on the planet.